Good day, and welcome to Observer TV News. It's Monday, December 8th, 2008. I'm Stephen Humphrey with Jill Klaussen. Here are the top stories. In the news, Canadian heroes come home. In sports, the Sabres could be up for sale. In entertainment, watch their smoke. The Trailer Boys are getting the F out of the trailer park. And now to our top story.
The bodies of 3 soldiers killed in Afghanistan are returning home on Monday. Corporal Mark McLaren, Private Dimitrios Deplaros, and Warrant Officer Robert Wilson were killed when their armored vehicle hit a roadside bomb. The plane carrying their bodies left Kandahar airfield on Saturday. Over 20,000 troops from Canada, the United States, and Britain attended the ramp ceremony for their fellow soldiers. Governor General Mikhail John and Defense Minister Peter MacKay are among those expected at CFB Trenton when the plane will land on Monday.
Unite the left or not? Etobicoke Lakeshore MP Michael Ignatieff says if he becomes Liberal Party leader, he may not stick with the coalition plan struck between opposition party leaders. Ignatieff is rumored to be the front-runner to replace Stéphane Dion as Liberal leader, according to party sources. He described his position as coalition if necessary, but not necessarily. Leadership contender Bob Rae still supports the power-sharing coalition with his former party, the NDP. The leadership may be decided as early as Wednesday through a private caucus meeting.
Michael Ignatieff may be named the head of the Liberal Party within the next few days. Insiders say the party's current leader, Stéphane Dion, will step down. Liberals hope to have a new leader by the end of January when they return to Parliament. However, Ignatieff must defeat his main rival for the position, Toronto's Bob Rae. Supporters of Rae are still unsure as to whether or not he will step aside or fight Ignatieff for the leadership. A replacement for Dion was not set to be named until May, but Liberals want to speed up the process after last week's parliamentary crisis.
More riots in Greece. Youth riots which started in Athens have spread to Greek cities of Thessaloniki and the islands of Corfu and Crete. Flying rocks, tear gas, and firebombs are now a common sight. In Athens, youth set fire to a dozen cars and torched 30 businesses to protest police shooting of a 15-year-old boy. The boy was one of 30 youths who allegedly threw stones and Molotov cocktails at police on Saturday. Police responded with a stun grenade and live gunfire. Riots started after the boy was pronounced dead. 2 officers have been arrested in connection with the shooting.
Just north of the lakeshore, off the Don Valley Parkway, you'll find workers of Corex ULC on the picket line. Over the last 5 months, they have set up a cozy camp just outside the factory gates. As Observer TV's Allison Werbowetsky reports, they're not going anywhere. And then we do not have that story. We had some technical difficulties.
When it comes to young adults, gay men have life experience in spades. Many of them come to the big city to find better lives for themselves, but many of them end up in situations they would have never dreamed of. They've had to resort to selling their bodies to make ends meet.
When it comes to young adults, gay men have life experience in spades. Many of them come to the big city to find better lives for themselves, but some of them find themselves in situations they would have never dreamed of. We caught up with a couple of these young men who have had to resort to selling their bodies to make ends meet.
An ex-boyfriend and I were just really desperate for cash and needed to get an apartment, and both just started working and made $1,300 in 2 days.
The incidence of drug abuse is high among gay male prostitutes who find themselves desperately trying to distance themselves from the psychological damage that the job may cause.
Most of the people that I know do it are regular drug users, so usually don't go into it sober, so like they either get drunk or there's drugs involved, so.
Shelley Coulis, a counselor at Turning Point Youth Center, says there is a high incident of young men coming off the street who are usually prostitutes.
They don't all the time just close, that's what they're doing, but we have a few that will talk about it.
Coulis says many of these youth get lost in the street culture.
They're more easily accessible if somebody is advocating for them.
Places like Turning Point are helping some of these youth get off the streets. However, there are many more that are still out there that need our help. Connor O'Brien, Observer News, Toronto.
Officials in Pakistan say they have apprehended a suspect in last week's deadly bombings in Mumbai, India. On Sunday, security forces raided a militant camp in Pakistani Kashmir and claim they have captured the alleged mastermind of the attacks. Officials took Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakvi and 11 others into custody after a brief gunfight. The only surviving attacker to be captured said it was Lakvi who drafted him for the mission. He also said that Lakvi and another man coordinated the attack. As of press time, it was unclear what will happen to Lakvi, since Pakistan and India do not have a treaty for extraditing criminals. The attack killed 171 people in Mumbai.
The alleged mastermind of the Mumbai attacks has been caught, according to Pakistani intelligence. Terrorist leader Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakvi was among militants arrested during a raid in Kashmir, the Kashmir region of Pakistan, on Sunday. Lakvi was named as the chief planner of the terrorist assault on India's financial capital, Mumbai, by the surviving shooter of the massacre, which left 172 dead. Lakvi, a commander in the terrorist group Lashkar-e-Toiba, is one of 12 suspects detained for questioning about events in Mumbai.
JSR has been found guilty of Jane Kriba's murder. On Sunday afternoon, the jury delivered the verdict after 4 days of deliberation. 15-year-old Kriba was shot on Boxing Day 2005. The lawyer for the defense calls the verdict completely unreasonable. 8 other people are waiting to go on trial in the case in the new year.
Quebecers go to the polls today with probably less than a peak enthusiasm. With their provincial elections so close on the heels of leadership contests in Canada and the United States, Quebecers seem electioned out. Polls show a strong 15% lead for incumbent Jean Charest, with the Parti Québécois headed for official opposition status and Action Démocratique a distant third. But the majority showing might be voters who stay home and brood about the economy. And that's it for the hard news type serious stuff. Let's send it over to Matt Cohen for the entertainment news.
Hi, in entertainment this week, hip-hop artist Cohen will be dropping his latest CD, Universal Mind Control, featuring platinum artist Pharrell with tracks produced by Kanye West. Is expected to be released December 9th, so definitely pick that up. Also on December 9th, for the ladies, Music Soul Child will be releasing his 5th solo album, dubbed On My Radio. For the soul and R&B lovers out there, this should definitely be on the wish list for this holiday season. And for Jamie Foxx fans, the Academy Award-winning actor, singer, /songwriter is set to deliver his 3rd studio release, Intuition, in stores next week. Foxx is the 4th artist next to Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, and Barbra Streisand to have won an Academy Award for acting and have a #1 selling album in the U.S. So he's definitely someone to look out for in the future. And that's your entertainment for today. This is Matthew Cohen for Observer TV News, and to Joe with fashion.
On November 13th at Yonge and Dundas Square, H&M, where Crawford and Bre Walt is launching their collaboration with the retail giant. We're just waiting for the doors to open right now. There's a line stretched around the block, and people have been waiting here since 8:30 last night in this lovely, lovely rain that we're having. The collaboration between H&M and Rei Kawakubo, the head designer for Comme des Garçons, was announced on October 7th. Kawakubo designed a men's and women's collection.
Yeah, I've previewed the entire collection. There's a couple things I'm like queuing up for, you know, that I've crossing my fingers.
This is my daughter. It's my day off, and she took me here for now. I'm excited though. 10 minutes. She wants to put some waffles on it.
When the stores opened their doors at 10 a.m., over 200 Comme des Garçons fans rushed in. The Swedish retailer has worked with many high-end designers in the past, like Karl Lagerfeld and Stella McCartney. Each time a collection is released, it sells out almost immediately. Within a few hours, it was difficult to find any Comme des Garçons merchandise left on the racks. Observer TV News.
Coming up after the break, Murray has more buzz.
Music Awards, tomorrow at 8, 7 Central on CTV.
Polite society tells us that it's rude to stare. But then along came the 2005 Nissan Altima, with a new redesigned interior and a sleek, new, refined exterior. So go ahead, stare. Frankly, it'd be rude not to. Now get the Altima 2.5S Extra loaded with $1,000 worth of no-charge options.
Looking for affordable home ideas? Come to a Sears Home Store. It's the Buyer's Best Buy sale. Get this Dream Fiber sofa for just $899.99. Plus, get this queen-size sleigh bed for just $899.97. And don't pay until January 2006. For great selection, great prices, and great service, there's only one place you need to go. Sears.
Well, when you work in television, you want to make people happy. You should have a great smile. My teeth were just brutal. I had to do something about it, so I had to find somebody I could trust.
I'm Dr. Mark Coachman, and I personally make sure everyone receives the most advanced care no matter how serious their condition. Together, we can achieve the smile makeover you deserve.
The Coachman Center, 1-888 Newmouth.
So change your smile.
And change your life. Thanks, buddy.
Santa Margherita is the saint of impossible causes. Men pray to her when they need to be forgiven. Women pray to her when they are going to have children.
From the depths of tradition comes an epic story of one family's quest for forgiveness. No! Sophia Loren in a CTV exclusive.
Welcome back, and good day, everybody. Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles are saying their goodbyes from jail. The Trailer Trash Trio had a 1-hour series finale last night on Showcase. The long-running Canadian TV show had a total of 7 seasons, 3 specials, and 1 feature-length movie. Fans can look forward to a sequel to their first movie, which began production this summer. Just a few weeks ago, after it topped the box office, sequel talks for Twilight are already underway, but Catherine Hardwicke will not return to direct. She said she had a great experience, but the timing would not work out to be involved in New Moon. It seems international rock stars Coldplay are getting into hot water these days over some of their songs on the album. Blues guitarist Joe Satriani is suing the British group for incorporating significant portions of his song If I Could Fly into the band's hit single Viva la Vida. And So You Think You Can Dance, Canada has crowned its dancing king. Nico Archambault won the inaugural season of the hit reality TV show with his mix of contemporary and hip-hop styles. He takes home $100,000. And that's all from entertainment. Now I'll send it over to Drew Berner with sports.
Thanks, Murray. Good afternoon, sports fans, and welcome back. I'm Drew Berner, and with me, as always, is Dave the Hammer Bowden. Today we've got to tell you about the Sabres. Could be up for sale. Luke Schenn is on the shelf for a couple of weeks, and it seems the Bills were a bust in TO. So, Dave, how'd your fantasy hockey team do last night?
Well, my fantasy hockey team did about as well as Moore's Men's Shop did on tie sales this weekend,
well.
It looks like.
A couple of winners we are.
I'd say.
Hobos off the street.
Well, speaking of hobos off the street, it's time to turn the old rumor mill as the Buffalo Sabres could soon be put on the for sale rack. Western New York Hockey Magazine is set to publish a report this week claiming that Sabres majority owner Tom Golisano is looking to sell the storied franchise. Minority owner Larry Quinn denies the report, which goes on to say that Research in Motion founder Jim Balsillie could be a potential buyer. Balsillie has attempted to buy an NHL club before, most recently offering $220 million for the Nashville Predators. The article also claims that if the Canadian billionaire succeeds in purchasing the Sabres, a deal could be worked out that would see the team play some games in Hamilton's Copps Coliseum.
In another hockey news, it looks like the Leafs will be without the services of young Luke Schenn for at least a couple of weeks. The 19-year-old defenseman was injured on a hit by Capital star Alex Ovechkin on Saturday night. The team would only admit that Schenn has a lower body injury. The young star has 2 assists in 27 games this season, but is second among rookies in average ice time, logging about 21 minutes a game. Nicholas Hagman also left Saturday's game after taking a knee to the head. He's doubtful for tonight's game against the Islanders, but could return later in the week to play the Sabres.
And in other Leafs news, the Buds hired former Canucks general manager Dave Nonis to their front office on Saturday, much to the surprise of no one. Nonis previously worked under new Leafs GM and president Brian Burke in both Vancouver and Anaheim. Speculation that he would follow his old boss to Toronto began almost immediately after Burke signed his new contract with the Leafs last week. Nonis is most famous for a blockbuster deal as Canucks GM that saw Todd Bertuzzi sent to Florida in a trade that brought star goalie Roberto Luongo to Vancouver.
And the Bills and Dolphins turned in some unremarkable performances at Rogers Center yesterday. The much-hyped matchup, the first time 2 NFL teams have played a regular season game on Canadian soil, fell far short of expectations. Dolphins QB Chad Pennington threw the only touchdown in the game, while kicker Dan Carpenter made 3 field goals. Former Argos running back Ricky Williams ran for 40 yards in his first return to the Toronto Gridiron, and he reached the end zone at one point, but a penalty canceled out the 14-yard run.
Staying in Toronto still, Blue Jays fans will have to wait until the season starts to see ace Roy Halladay. The star pitcher announced that he is not likely to pitch in the World Baseball Classic this spring, to be hosted in part at Toronto's Rogers Centre. Halladay told the Toronto Sun that pitching for Team USA would simply make the season too long, especially considering his habit of pitching deep into games. The Jays' gain will be Team USA's loss. Halladay finished second in American League Cy Young voting this season, posting a 20-11 record with a career-high 206 strikeouts and a 2.78 ERA.
And in other Toronto sports news, the Raps came oh so close to giving interim head coach Jay Triano his first home win behind the Toronto bench yesterday. Triano's team held the lead over the Trailblazers by 16 points in the second quarter, but by the beginning of the fourth, they were down by 10. They managed to climb back into it, and with seconds to go, the Dinos were up by a pair before Steve Blakes drained a three-pointer to send them packing. The loss is the Raptors' fourth in a row after a disastrous road trip that saw them drop 3 straight games by double-digit margins. The Raps will try again to break their slump on Tuesday against the Cavaliers.
Attempts in Toronto to make bike sharing a popular way to commute have come and gone. A new system developed in Montreal is showing Torontonians that bikes can be a convenient way to get around. Brighton Suits has the story.
Montreal's parking authority brought their homegrown bike-sharing system, Bixi, to Toronto for people on the street to get a look at and try out. The parking authority's vice president said the system was the result of a need for a more active, eco-friendly way to get around town.
It started with the transportation plan that the city of Montreal put ahead last year. A big place was for active transportation, and bicycle sharing was part of that.
Toronto councillor Adrian Heaps wants a bike sharing program in the city next year. He has not said what kind of system they will go with. From the outset, Bixi's creators wanted their system to be easy for commuters to use.
Weekly member or a yearly member, you'll have a little key like this, and you'll be able to unlock the bike just by putting it in right away. So kind of like this, just put it in, and when the signal is green, you just take the bike out and you leave and you do your ride. And once you're done, you go back to another station and you just put it in, and the bike locks up by itself, just like that.
Bixi's sleek design and user-friendly nature could offer commuters another way to get around Toronto's busy downtown core. Bike sharing in Toronto has not had a successful history. The buzz Bixi brought with it may just be the push it needed.
I mean, I ride my bike regularly, but if I happen to be, downtown without my bike and I needed to get somewhere quickly, I think that I would use this.
Where other plans have failed in the past, this new plan seems to have wheels. This is Brighton Suits, Observer Television, Toronto.
The UTSC Spartans women's soccer team plays no matter what the weather. Here's Observer TV's Muzna Siddiqui with the story.
Even though it's pouring out here, the Scarborough Spartans are gearing up to play against downtown's PT Flash team. Coach Jeff believes that the Spartans are going to win, despite the wet conditions.
A really fast team, so whenever you have a really fast team, the rain does play a little bit of an effect, slows everyone down. Luckily the field isn't too muddy, so we'll be able to use our speed to our advantage, so hopefully it won't hinder us that much.
The Spartans almost had a perfect season, but because of a technical error, they had to replay a match. They finished their season 5-1. Cece Louis says that the team still has a lot of high spirits going into the game.
It's going to be really tight. This is a good team. They beat us in the final last year as well, after 5 converts. So that was an insane of a game, and I'm expecting this to be exactly the same because they're a good team, but I believe we're better. So hopefully that comes out today.
Louis also says this has been one of the best football seasons they've had.
It's a really great team that I'm on. Everyone's really supportive. Everyone's great, so I'm really excited.
Well, it looks like the rain is still coming down hard, but the UTSC Spartans should still prevail. This is Melissa Desousa reporting for Centennial College News.
And rounding up the NHL games on the schedule yesterday, the Hurricanes beat Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals 3-1 in Carolina. The host Blackhawks routed Wayne Gretzky's Coyotes 7-1. Mika Kiprusoff and the Flames blanked the Broadway Blue Shirts in New York 3-0. Colorado toppled Vancouver 5-4 in the 5th game of the Canucks' 7-game road trip, and the Anaheim Ducks proved they're still mighty, beating the visiting Blue Jackets 5-3. Tonight, the Leafs host the Islanders at home, while Ottawa takes on the Panthers at Scotiabank Place, and the Flames continue their Eastern road trip with a stop at the Bell Centre to take on the Canadiens.
And in basketball news, Ray Allen scored a game-high 35 points, but the Celtics still needed overtime to beat the Pacers 122-117. Kevin Garnett finished the game with a double-double, recording 17 points and 20 rebounds. Kobe Bryant's Lakers beat the Bucks 105-92. Bryant scored 20 points, while all 5 of Milwaukee's starters registered a combined 18 points. The Knicks opened up an early 29-point lead on the visiting Pistons before Detroit stormed back to make a game of it. New York ended up taking the game 104-92, while 5 Knicks scored double figures in the game.
And that's all for sports. With a report that's on fire, here's Bre Walt.
Thanks, David. Hello, everyone. NBC's White House correspondent David Gregory has been named the new moderator of the interview show Meet the Press. The late Tim Russert hosted the show until he passed away in June. The longest-running network series, Meet the Press, has been on the air since November 1947, and this past November averaged 4.5 million viewers each Sunday. And on a lighter note, Britney wants to lighten the load of her bust. The pop star says she wants to wear suits like the red PVC one she wore for the Oops, I Did It Again video. The 27-year-old is planning a complete image overhaul, hoping to become a rock chick. About her breasts, Spears is quoted saying, "I know they look sexy, but sometimes they get in the way." And let's take a look at who raked in the dough with this weekend's box office hits. Four Christmases held steady at number 1, grossing over $18 million. Up to the second spot, Twilight brought in just over $13 million, while Quantum of Solace dropped to 5th, beat out by Twilight Bolt in Australia. And the Pixar DreamWorks hit cartoon Madagascar 2 kept its spot in the top 10 for the 5th week in a row, bringing in another $5 million. And that's all from entertainment. And now, how much do landlords and restaurants have in common? Well, if a Toronto community group gets its way, then a lot more than you would think. Tom Stukas reports. And we are experiencing some technical difficulties, so we are going to send it to a commercial.
Few relationships in life are more important than the one between you and your Michelin tires. Rugged, long-lasting Michelin light truck tires. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
And now to weather. In Western Canada, Vancouver is seeing some nicer weather at 5 degrees. Mainly cloudy with some sunny breaks. Definitely not skiing weather. Moving into Calgary, it starts to get colder. It's -7 with some light snow. Temperatures drop as we move further east to Regina, where the wind picks up. Though it is -16, it feels closer to -25. And in Winnipeg, temperatures fall well below zero. It is partly cloudy and -22 degrees. And moving into southern Ontario, Toronto is seeing some flurries and a temperature of -7. In Ottawa, it is -18, but at least the sun is out. And in Montreal, the temperature doesn't change too much. It is -17 and sunny as well. And moving into eastern Canada, Halifax is getting some light snow with temperatures at -8 degrees. And in St. John's, the temperatures rise above 0 to 5 degrees, and it is cloudy with a chance of showers. Now on to the 3-day forecast for Toronto. Today, there is a chance of flurries with a high and low of -1, and about 2 centimeters of snow is expected for tonight. For Tuesday, there are a chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to a high of 5 degrees and a low of 4 degrees, but moderate to strong winds will make it seem a lot colder. And on Wednesday, the snow returns with a 60% chance of flurries and a high and low of 2 degrees. And now to the current conditions. At Toronto Pearson International Airport, it is cloudy with flurries and -7 degrees. And that's your Observer TV weather. Now back to the news desk for a final word.
Jill, this is the last newscast before we graduate and move on to our internships.
What are your plans to celebrate?
I don't know. I guess I'm probably going to go home and take a nice long nap.
On behalf of all of us here at Observer TV News, thanks for watching and have a great evening.
Best weather ever.